You have, and so that will happen next week. And this week, going through this, is the, as you can see, is the food poverty in the lakeside communities and what is being doing to address it. And this is a presentation by the Foodbank Lakeside. And this week we have the leadership team of Foodbank Lakeside, and they will be talking about food poverty in the lakeside communities and what is being done to alleviate hunger in the local area by the large community effort that is Foodbank Lakeside. So please give a warm welcome to Foodbank Lakeside.
All right, thank you, Phil, for that introduction. Can you all hear me? Is it good? Yep. I'm Mark Danson. I'm a volunteer for Foodbank Lakeside. As we discuss food poverty here today, it's important to keep in mind that words like poor or rich lead to a subtle categorization, a definition of a people. But the term food poverty doesn't define the people who live in this all too real circumstance. This is why I prefer to use the terms such as living with food poverty or experiencing food poverty, rather than a definition of who they are. This phrase expresses a circumstantial condition which can be addressed and can be overcome. In truth, the people we're talking about today are just like you and I. They wish to ensure that their families are healthy and happy. They hope for their children to attend school and have a future to be excited about. They intend to work and provide for their family. They have dreams, desires, and ambitions, and ultimately they want to live with dignity and purpose. But it's hard to build a future when you don't know where your next meal is coming from. So I'd like to introduce to you 3 key volunteers of Foodbank Lakeside. They're our local coordinators, working intimately in our communities to identify those who could use our help. First is Felisa from San Antonio. Then there is Sandra from Chapala and Mary also from Chapala. They'll take turns sharing the stories about a few of the families that we serve, and I'll translate as is needed.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Felisa Ornelas. I coordinate Foodbank Lakeside in San Antonio since the beginning. I would like to tell you about a family that we serve. It is a family of 5 people, including a grandma. Her name is Kuka. She has diabetes, and she had an implant in her hip that had to be removed, so she can't move by herself. She has an ulcer in her right leg and had COVID 8 months ago. She now is better from COVID, so she's okay now. She's a widow and lives alone with a small house, but very close to her daughter Berta. Berta has 1 son and 2 daughters. One daughter and a son is now already married. The other daughter is deaf and mute. Because her condition, a person took advantage of her, and she had a son. His name is Victor. Victor is 80% healthy, but had some problem with his bones. He's only 10 years old. Berta has been taking care of her grandson Victor since he was born because her mother doesn't know how to. Victor's mom now is living with a boyfriend. So Berta has been a widow for only since 7 months now, and she's going through very difficult times. She doesn't have enough support from her children to pay for Victor's school expenses. She also has to take care of her mother Cuca, who needs diapers and special attention. Berta suffers from thrombosis, depression, and high blood pressure. So it is impossible for her to work. And they've been receiving support from Foodbank Lakeside since the first delivery in San Antonio. By receiving the dispensers, they are able to focus on Victor's studies and get medication that Berta and Cuca needs to live healthier. Instead of worrying so much about their food, they can look after and take care of each other. They are very thankful every time they receive the dispenser. They bless and thank the association and all the people who support us as volunteers and donors. Thank you.
Como quieran.
Hi, my name is Sandra.
La cubre.
Blas Jasso Mendoza, un señor con 73 años de edad, es un beneficiario de la gran organización de Foodbank Lakeside.
Blas Jasso Mendoza, a 73-year-old man, is a beneficiary of the large Foodbank Lakeside organization.
Él vive solo con sus perritos y unas cuantas gallinas.
He lives alone with his dogs and a few chickens.
Antes de sufrir amputación, él fue albañil, pero desgraciadamente no obtuvo ninguna jubilación.
Before his amputation, he was a bricklayer, but unfortunately did not get a pension.
Un primo le prestó un lote baldío para construir un pequeño cuartito de palos, plásticos, cartones y cosas viejas para cubrirse el frío.
A cousin of his lent him a vacant lot to build a small room out of sticks, plastic, cardboard, and old things just to keep out the cold.
Sus pocos muebles que tiene han sido encontrados en la basura.
The few pieces of furniture that he has have been found in the garbage.
Él, como puede, sale en su triciclo viejo a buscar cosas que le sirvan para sobrevivir, como botes de aluminio y cosas así que él pueda vender.
As best as he can, he goes out on his old tricycle to look for things that he can use to survive, like aluminum cans and other things that he could sell.
Con el apoyo de alimentación por las despensas, él ha podido empezar a mejorar su vida.
With the support from the food dispensers, he has been able to start improving his life little by little.
Construyó un pequeño cuartito de bloques en el mismo terreno de su primo.
He started laying down blocks to build a small house on the land that his cousin lent him.
Por ahora no cuenta con electricidad ni refrigerador, pero un vecino de buen corazón dijo que le pasará la luz pronto.
For now, he has no electricity nor a refrigerator, but a kind-hearted neighbor said that he would give him some electricity soon.
Aunque es discapacitado y además diabético, con este apoyo él se enfoca en sembrar maíz en el terreno donde vive.
Although he's disabled and diabetic, with the dispenser support, he can focus on planting corn on the land where he lives, laying down a foundation for the future.
Él está muy agradecido con la organización de Foodbank Lakeside.
He is very grateful to Foodbank Lakeside.
Siempre que vamos, Carlos y yo, a dejarle su despensa, nos agradece con una gran sonrisa.
Whenever Carlos and I go to drop off his dispensa, he thanks us with a big smile
Y siempre nos dice que Dios bendiga a todas las personas que hacen posible esta gran ayuda que son unos ángeles de Dios y que Dios los bendiga.
And he always tells us, God bless all the people who make this help possible. They're God's angels.
Y como estas son muchísimas historias que tenemos en Chapala,
So, and this is one of very many stories we have in Chapala.
muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes, gracias por el gran apoyo.
I don't think that needs a translation. Sí.
Good morning. My name is Mary. I am volunteer from Chapala since May 2020, more or less. And I come here to thank every who has contributed a little or a lot. We have been able to help people in various degrees of struggle. Here is a story of a couple of 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren blessed with the support of Foodbank Lakeside. The husband, a musician and singer by profession and a school bus driver in his spare time, found himself without contracts to sing at parties and without a job of a school bus driver due to the pandemic. He got infected with COVID and he was hospitalized, spending his little savings of medicine. He tried to look for a job, but he did not find one due to his age. I had a fortune of finding out about his situation and becoming a bridge for Foodbank Lakeside to provide him with a dispenser, which was a lot of help for the whole family for many months. They are also happy and grateful to receive their dispenser. For example, they cook the beans and prepare the eggs with breakfast, for the breakfast. They also use all the other products of their much appreciated dispenser. Currently, he has returned to his job as his driver part-time and also gets contracts for a few events as the economic situation has improved a little. We have also helped families whose sources of income were affected by the pandemic, such as flower vendors, waiters, tour boats drivers, employees of many shops, cleaning ladies who weren't allowed to enter houses for the fear of infecting the elderly employers, cash washers, etc. For some of their situation has already improved and they are very grateful for the program, for its support, while others continue to receive the help. I come here on behalf of everyone that receives such a fortunate help to thank you and wish health and blessing to each and every one of the participants of this beautiful work. Sincerely, with all my heart, Mary.
These are but a few examples. Unfortunately, there's many like them. Mexico faces a poverty rate of approximately 44%, which is defined as an income of less than $111 US per month. In our very own Jalisco, which is usually considered one of the wealthier states, it is at 41%. Generally, a fifth of those face extreme poverty, which is defined as $56 US per month or less. Many of those in poverty are also elderly and sick, surviving on a pension, which is 3,100 pesos, or about $75 US every other, 3,100 pesos every other month, which comes out to about $75 per month. In the municipality of Chapala, where we find ourselves, which had a population of about 55,000 people in census 2020, we have approximately 21,000 people living in poverty, and over 2,000 of those are in extreme poverty, which the UN also defines beyond the economic terms as a condition characterized by severe deprivation of basic human needs, including food, safe drinking water, sanitation facilities, health, shelter, education. This means that these people that we're talking about today lack access to critical things such as education, health services, food and water, social security, retirement savings, safe living spaces with a roof, walls, floors, or even basic services such as running water, electricity, or even sewage. Amongst these, food and water are the keystone. Without the keystone, things crumble. I'd like to introduce you to three of the founding mothers of Foodbank Lakeside. Christine will share about the importance of dreams and hopes and the distracting power of hunger. Glorine will share about the educational gap and the trap it poses for younger generations. And finally, Paula will share about the devastating reality of some of the most disadvantaged communities where hopes and dreams are all but lost.
Good morning. You'll have to excuse me, I'm still having a rough time. It's always very hard to listen to the stories of our clients. I can't work out in the field because I'm just incapable of seeing what these wonderful ladies see on a day-to-day basis all the time. My name is Christine Phillipson, and I am a volunteer with the team at Foodbank Lakeside. I want to ask everybody right now if you could do me a favor. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes for a minute and shut out the world. I want you to think of your dreams and ambitions that you had as a child and a teen growing up. Many of us wouldn't have been here without a basic education, plus the opportunity to seek higher education suitable for those dreams. Now, I want you to imagine being hungry. You're 6 years old. You haven't eaten in 3 days. Your stomach is growling and you're worrying about where your next meal is coming from. How are you supposed to focus on elementary school, never mind middle school or high school? How is that possible if you don't know what you're going to eat next? Could you focus on reading a book? Could you focus on developing a skill if you knew that your family was starving? And you could instead drop out of school really easily to help gather money to stave off that hunger for at least one more day. This is the reality of many, many of our recipients. The elderly, they want to contribute their time and care to their families, to the children that are just trying to grow up. Food poverty forces many ambitions and all of those dreams to fall by the wayside, just to focus on finding where that next meal is coming from.
Hi, I'm Glorine, and I'm going to talk about education. Why education? Because education is the single most important driver of economic empowerment for adults and the community. Just think, what would you have done without your education? What job would you have had? How would you have supported your family? And what standard of living would you have had? Scary questions, but these are the questions that most Mexicans have to face on a daily basis. The effects of hunger on education are startling, as Christine had mentioned. Chronic hunger can prevent students from making the most of a formal education, no matter how hard they try. Some students must make a decision as to whether or not they want to pay to eat breakfast or lunch or pay to ride the bus to school. Mexico does not have a free lunch program, nor do they have a school bus program. Children who complete primary education, that is only the 6th grade, are more likely to achieve food security as adults and end the cycle of poverty in their lifetime. Only 62% of Mexican children attend high school, and of that amount, only 45% graduate from high school. Among the 38 developed countries, Mexico has one of the lowest number of school enrollments between the ages of 15 to 19-year-olds, possibly because these children need to find work to help support their families. When a child is born at home, most of them do not have birth certificates, and therefore they cannot attend school. This is especially true among the indigenous population. Poverty doesn't only affect whether or not a child can attend school. It also affects the quality of education they receive. Again, among the 38 developed countries, Mexico ranks at the bottom for the amount of money spent on education per student, about $3,000 US. And in most cases, primary education and poor communities are going to receive by far less. All you have to do is visit a primary school and go out and visit Chapala Preparatoria, and you can see for yourself. Felicia talked about Victor, a 5th grader, whose grandmother struggles to pay for his education. Will Victor drop out of school? Will he be able to at least finish the 6th grade so that he can obtain food security for his family? Or will he be a part of the fortunate 45% who graduate from high school? What does Victor's future look like?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Paola de Waterlot. I grew up here in Ajijic, and I'm with these ladies since day number 1. I want to tell you something that we were talking about when we were organizing this speech. And everybody was talking about dreams. And I said, what about those who doesn't even have a dream? There's a lot of people here, a lot of kids, also grandparents, everybody. There's full families, complete families with not even a dream. Every family has a dream. There's family out there that don't even have a dream. Why? Because they're too sad, they're too weak. They're defending themselves, they're vulnerable, not only to hunger, because they're weak in their head, they're weak in their soul. Chapala and also Poncitlan, because we're in both municipalities, we have different economical status. Ajijic, we're good, but believe it or not, in Ajijic there's also cardboard houses by the mountains or hiding here and there. There's also houses full of like 10, 12 members in one room. And other delegations in other towns is the same story, but multiplied. So I like to let you know and remind you, those people, they don't even have a dream because they're hungry. And they're depressed. And there's the rest of things that come along, crime, drug addictions, to avoid. Do you see the kids begging in the streets? We're fighting for them. We're fighting for their families. We're connected with all these people. A lot of people that are helping us is not even here. And we're asking you to help us. Thank you very much. I think I did what I...
Many of us did not know any of this when we started Foodbank Lakeside. We just wanted to feed those who were facing starvation due to the economic shutdown during early COVID. However, once we got to know our neighbors and became familiar with their true circumstances, we recognized the need to address another pandemic that's been around for a long time, food poverty. So, now that you know why we do what we do, here's Patricia Clower to tell you about how we do it through our Dispenser program.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. So we have 2 programs at Foodbank Lakeside. Our Dispenser program, which is our original program, and the Kids Kitchen program. So I'm here to talk to you about our dispensers. And I think you might have seen on the information table walking in, we have a sample dispenser out there. And if you take a brochure, the items are listed. It's beans, rice, eggs, which we didn't show, milk, cooking oil, cleaning supplies, basic staples. It's not a lot, but it's the difference between, it makes a huge difference in their lives. So we've decided on these items really in close coordination with these guys, our local coordinators, because they know what people need and they know what the day-to-day needs are. So, and then we purchased the dispensers through local grocers. When we first decided to do this, we wanted to keep the funds circulating in our own community. And we also were looking at COVID, so we wanted people to be safe. So we didn't want a lot of volunteers handling lots and lots of items and things like that. So what we decided to do was raise donations and then pay local grocers and their employees bag all the dispensers into a bag. And then we just pick up the bags and then deliver them to the families. So we started insisting that everyone wear masks and do proper distancing and things like that early on. And we had a lot of volunteers who were sewing masks and donating masks, both for the little ones and adults 2 years ago. So we kind of helped to start some of the basic safety standards that we all experience regularly today. So just so you know, the grocers who've been helping us in San Antonio, Antonio's Albarote on Ramon Corona. You want to go in and say hi or to purchase something, and they've been with us since the very beginning. And then also El Surtidor has been a fantastic support for us, and they provide groceries for us. So now that you know a little bit about our dispensers, let me tell you about our team. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. So we have 26 volunteers on our team, and 14 of them are local Mexican nationals and 12 are expats. And this is just the Dispenser operation team. We have way more volunteers in the organization, but I'm talking about our operations that get the dispensers into the hands of the people, week to week, month to month. So the local coordinators are the heart and soul of our operation. They're the direct connection into our community. And you've already met a few today. Elisa, Sandra, and Mary. And then there's others, Monica and Ajijic, and Juanita, who covers Santa Cruz and San Nicolas. They've been with Foodbank Lakeside since we started 2 years ago. And of all the roles in our whole organization, this is the one role that there has been zero turnover. Every single one of them has been here from the beginning, and they're there week to week, month to month, and no one has dropped out for any reason at all. So what they do is they actually go to the homes of every family. They interview them, they understand what their economic situation is and their medical situation. They see how they're living, and they determine who gets a dispenser and who doesn't. And they also are keeping up with the constantly changing conditions of every family. So as you heard Mary talking about the one gentleman who's now back to work, and so our lists are always changing. Some people are coming off and others go on, just as we're discovering the need and the changing circumstances. So, and they're also, I wanted to say, they're very conscientious and appreciative, and they're always trying to save us money. They're always trying to get a better deal and try to figure out how to save money on the dispensers. So the expats in our community who are volunteers, we work as teams. So there's a team for every group, and the expats, pick up the dispensers, work with these guys, and they deliver to the homes. So we see the situation. We know exactly who we're giving dispensers to. In some situations, we are doing local distribution, but even in those cases, there are people who are too ill, who are disabled, and they can't come and pick up a dispenser. So we have drivers that go out to their homes and drop them off. So the other thing that we're doing is, because we know the medical conditions, other groups like the Rotary have come to us, and we were able to give out 14 wheelchairs in the last year to people in our community because they know who needs the wheelchairs. And when people come in to donate, even the municipality comes to us and asks for lists of people who need support because of these guys, because of their constant awareness of what's going on in the community. And then last October, when we had the mudslide, we were able to immediately Antonio's put together 50 dispensers, and we provided breakfast and trunkloads of clothes and donations, and we worked really closely with the municipality on that project. So because of that, we now have a small emergency fund so that we can react anytime without compromising our main program. And then finally, we've been partnering with Poco since the beginning. And so we've been donating food to go out to the eastern communities out there. And Patricia Moran started the Kids Kitchen and then brought that to Foodbank. So you're going to hear more about that next. But I would just want to thank all of you for your support, for even being here and listening to this. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
So like Patricia just said, Judith will come up next to talk about, on her own behalf and Patricia Moran's behalf, about a couple of other important programs, which is the Kids Kitchen and then a vision for independence and sustainability in the future.
Hi everyone, my name is Judith, and this is my friend Patricia Moran. And she's the one who started the Kids Kitchens and introduced me to the Kids Kitchens, where I was able to find my heart's, so full because I get to deliver food to one of the Kids Kitchens. So Patricia's voice is a little soft today, so this is what she wrote. She's gonna stand here and poke me if I say something wrong. Okay. Okay. The Kids Kitchen program was started 3 years ago by a local group called Poco that works in the indigenous villages east of Chapala. The program began in response to reports of chronic childhood malnutrition affecting 70 to 90% of the children in the area. This area also has the highest rate of childhood kidney disease in the world, and chronic malnutrition is a risk factor for this disease. 2 years ago, at the start of the pandemic, Poco reached out to Foodbank Lakeside for financial help when the need for food assistance was at a crisis point in these villages. I'm gonna probably cry too. I mean, it's emotional. Once Foodbank Lakeside became involved and we saw the tremendous need in the area, our assistance expanded and we now pay for all of the food for this program. With our support, the Kids Kitchen has grown from feeding about 80 children at one location 5 days a week to now feeding over 550 children 5 days a week. At 6 locations. We pay each week for fresh vegetables, fruit, eggs, and chicken to be brought and delivered. Then teams of village women cook, serve, and clean up after the daily meals. In addition to receiving daily meals, the Kids Kitchen also serves as a way to connect with the children, the poorest in the area, who come for a meal. This Christmas, there were special posadas at each meal location. Volunteers came to do activities with the children and give donations of clothes and toys, and volunteers have identified children who need special help. I'm just going to add, the posada was amazing. It was one of the greatest days I've had since living here. In addition, Kids Kitchens offers a consistent daily anchor in the lives of the children. Everyone involved reports that the children are happier and have more energy and enthusiasm because of this program. At a cost of less than 50 cents a meal, this program is creating healthier lives for children in this impoverished area that is less than an hour's drive from here. Our vision, our hope is to create a food farm. Thanks. Okay, that's Patricia's next dream, big dream. Our vision for the kids program is to begin growing food so that over time, more and more of the food for the kids' kitchens is in the hands of the villagers. Indeed, the biggest measure of success of this program is that eventually we would no longer be needed. To that end, we are looking to create what we are calling a food farm. We'd hope to find land in one of the villages with water and electricity where we can start the food farm, growing our own food. Using growth boxes with super rich soil, we would grow high quality organic produce with minimal water. We also want to catch rainwater into large tinacos during the rainy season, reducing the need during the dry season. Over time, we could even add chickens and tilapia to the food farm. Once the growth boxes are producing, the rain catchment is built, the food farm will be largely self-sustaining. The soil can be used over and over, and seeds can be collected and used for the next crop. We are all excited about the possibility of a food farm because it is a major step toward improving the lives of all the villagers and especially the children, the next generation. Thank you.
So far, we've heard about children and adults, the elderly, the sick, and the disabled, but we can't forget the soul-healing company of our furry four-legged friends. Here's Julie to tell you about how cherished pets are to the families we serve. You haven't met?
Morning, my name is Julie Whitman. This is Kiki. She's a good sidekick. She was napping before, but of course she had to wake up for this part. Anyways, my name is Julie Whitman, and I started the Pet Food Bank 2 years ago when I first moved down to Lakeside. COVID was here, and I knew shutdowns were going to impact so many families down here. I started seeing grassroots groups distributing dispensers to families, and I wondered, what about their pets? How are they going to eat? The families would either shortchange their own food and share it with their pets, or not be able to feed their pets at all, and possibly turn them out on the streets to try to survive and find what food they could on their own. Can I see a show of hands? How many people here have pets? All right. For those of you who have pets, you know how important they are. For those of you who don't have pets, they are constant companions for those who live alone and have very little outside contact. They provide warmth on cold nights because they like to cuddle. They provide protection, well, maybe when you grow up a little bit. And they instill laughter when they play. And they also develop a sense of responsibility with the children who take care of them. Losing a beloved pet because you can no longer feed them is totally heartbreaking. I started Pet Food Bank out of a garage, and we are still there today. It's a donated space. I aligned with several organizations during the initial 6 months of COVID, providing dog and cat food. I was fortunate enough to align with Foodbank Lakeside, who continues to identify and help those with food poverty. We now provide pet food to over 1,000 pets a month who are with the families that they service. We also serve another 200 family pets each month with whom we've made a different connection with. Pet Food Bank is a separate entity from Foodbank Lakeside. We exist solely on private donations and have about 12 volunteers, several who are out here today, who meet twice a month to break down 55-pound bags of food into smaller allotments. The the Foodbank Lakeside teams come each week and pick up their orders for the families that they are going to serve that week. Our financial donations come through the Foundation for Lakes Chapala Charities, and I also pick up cash donations. There are cards back on a table as you entered and when you leave, and also a donation jar. And Kiki wants you to know a little quote from Charlie Chaplin. "He who feeds a hungry family feeds his own soul."
And now we'd like to tell you a little bit about the people behind Foodbank Lakeside, which includes you all. Glorine will speak on Steve's behalf as he could not be here today to tell you about our volunteers. Then Mark Roshan will share about our donations and the impressive effect of every peso. And finally, Lisa will let you know about how you can support our efforts so that we can continue to do this work.
I was the volunteer coordinator until last summer when I left for the States, and at that time, Steve took it over. Because of a personal emergency, he can't be with us today. I would like to read what he so beautifully wrote. When COVID hit and businesses started shattering and jobs going away, my wife and I wondered, what are these people going to do to put food on their table? We've been thinking about how we might get into some volunteer work in our adopted home, and it occurred to us, what could be more important than helping people who can't afford to feed themselves and their families? So my wife and I discovered Foodbank Lakeside, found a critical way to do good. What we didn't realize was how good it would make us feel to do this work. And my guess is, if you choose to do this critical, important work, you'll feel the same way. Although the worst of COVID may finally be going away, the need isn't. The more you get into the work, the more you realize food poverty is everywhere at Lakeside. Now our ability as Foodbank Lakeside to address this need depends on our pool of volunteers. Remember, we're all volunteers at the Foodbank Lakeside. We have no paid staff. But if our donors come through, as they have so far, and we get enough volunteers, we are positioned to expand our mission considerably in 2022. Many opportunities are likely to open up for volunteers. We need help with marketing, including writing and graphic design, planning and staffing events, website management, administrative assistant work, fundraising, dispenser delivery. Currently, there are no openings, but who knows what the future will bring. You can put in as many or as few hours as you'd like with Foodbank Lakeside. And yes, even if you're a snowbird and you can only work with us from November through April, we will welcome you to this important work. So what to do if you are interested? You can talk to me after the program, or you can sign up over at the table to have me or Steve contact you. Or you can sign up on our website, foodbanklakeside.org. No obligation. Let's just explore together what might be possible for you to contribute your time and talents to helping some of the most disadvantaged neighbors live their best possible lives.
Hi, I'm Mark Roshan. I'm the bookkeeper, accountant, treasurer for Foodbank Lakeside. I'm the money guy, so I'll talk briefly about money. How do we pay for all this work? Every month,